Today I'll be talking about load-bearing equipment, so anything you as a rifleman would need to have on your person most of the time. So this is the really basic setup of all of the stuff you will have to carry on yourself, and by have I mean you should, you don't have to do anything, right? There's a lengthy discussion on how many mags you really need for specific use cases, but what I usually do is 3 mags on me minimum for the rifle plus 1 mag in the rifle, so that's usually quite enough. What you need also is a pair of gloves, not only due to bad weather but also to protect your hands from scratches and whatnot. You don't want that when you're out whole day having fun. Also some medical supplies, and here just a really basic setup, having a tourniquet, but also you want to have some small stuff like a boo-boo kit, some gauzes. So yeah, what also is very important, even during the day, no matter where you are, you want to have a flashlight with you, and optionally, or I recommend it, to have a headlamp too. The headlamp has the great benefit of obviously being hands-free, right? This elastic you can strap around your neck, on your helmet, and you have the possibility to use this red light function only, which is great at night at least, due to not being visible from far away, and also your eyes will adjust faster to the darkness after red light instead of white light, or so goes the theory. What you always want to have on yourself nowadays especially is your smartphone for like maps and communication, and Sharpie is essential, and your trusty tool. I use a Leatherman because it has most of the stuff I need, so I have pliers to get spent casings out, I have a wire cutter, I got my little saw and a screwdriver and a knife, so anything you could want in the field in a very compact size. So how do you carry all of this crap with you all day? And I'll show you a few options I currently own. I'll show their pros and cons, and in the end I want you guys to be able to judge yourself what kind of gear you actually need. So the first chest rig I want to show you guys is this chicom one. There's different variations with more pouches or less pouches, or bigger, more AK mags and whatnot, so you can pick them up for quite cheap. They're either reproductions or actual surplus, and they're very nice, but as you can see it's obviously an old design, old material, so those latches use this very old school system to close and open, right? And this is really bad for tactical reloads, it's fidgety and whatnot, so what I did, I just added some Velcro. Velcro has its pros and cons, right? But this modernizes this setup quite a bit and makes it a viable setup for a very high speed, low drag kind of gear. The old materials, they aren't very breathable, so you'll get a bit sweaty under this after some time. Also, if it gets wet, it doesn't dry that well. You can obviously treat the fabric so it's kind of water repelling, but your mileage might vary. The straps are really nice, they're nice and thin. You can wear a backpack over it, you don't need any padding because this doesn't weigh anything, even with 4 mags. And you have those small pouches for some accessories, so it should serve you very well for a very basic setup. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys is this chest rig I own. I bought it a few years ago off some site. It's a M23 chest rig from Russia, and obviously we don't want to get into politics. This video is about gear. I'm just saying this is a very cheap way to get decent quality chest rigs, and they are especially made for AKs, so those pouches are designed for AK mags, while most Western stuff is for AR-15 mags, so this is made for what you got on hands. You got those 4 pouches up front. You can actually double stack mags in here, but especially if you run metal mags, I don't recommend running them double stacked, because when you're moving or running, you will be rattling like no one else, and it will give away your position. It's going to be really obnoxious, so I don't recommend running in double stack. If you have polymer mags, it might be different, so you have to try your gear in the end, right? What else do you have? Lots of nice little pockets. So I got a little pocket for my Leatherman, got a pocket for my flashlight. I got this pocket up here for documents, which is really nice. You've got those little loops down here. You can either hook it up to your belt, or you can use them basically as a way of a carabine to put some more gear on top of you. So basically what I use it for is my gloves. I can just hook them up here and I have them on my person all the time. The straps here, since probably you're going to carry a bit more, they aren't really padded, but they're a bit broader to kind of distribute the load more on your shoulders. And they're really flat, which is the reason why I bought this explicit one. Usually they also have some padded stuff, but this is really nice, especially because I don't want to rule out the possibility to actually prevent myself from having more stuff on my back, so a backpack, and this works really well, even with backpacks. So yeah, obviously more modern material than the chicom one we saw. It has those little drainage holes, so you won't soak up that much water. More modern materials. This also gets a bit sweaty, but it doesn't soak up the moisture that much if you're sweating, because this is on your chest. So yeah, this is a bit more advanced. This will allow you to carry most of the stuff, or basically all the stuff you need, have quick access to your mags, and is a really nice option when you're looking for a chest rig. So now we saw two chest rigs, and here we got a plate carrier, and obviously the difference is it's carrying plates. So the principle is still the same. You want your mags up here. Now I'm using these bungee loop thingies to secure the magazines. Obviously they won't hold them as well as the Velcro pouches, because they can fall out if you're crawling on the floor and whatnot, but obviously I have a way faster access. And the plate carrier itself, most of them use kind of this molle setup. It's really nice. You can attach a bunch of stuff, and I'll show you what I attached. Technically you can use double stacked mag pouches here too, or attach another one, but what is really important for me in the end is being able to lie down and crawl, and with double stacked mags it's getting borderline impossible, and also the weight is kind of an issue if you're running plates and double stacked mags in front. Yeah, it's not a nice time, or a good time, depending on your physique, right? So there I got this carabine. It's really nice to attach anything to your plate carrier. I usually use it for my gloves. A nice feature I recommend to have on any plate carrier in the end. Now, since we got that much more space, or specialized pockets in comparison to the chest rig, got this nice little pouch for my tourniquet, readily available, and there my IFAK, and it's on the side here because it doesn't get in my way. I can still access it very easily. I can still crouch and sit down. And when it comes to IFAKs, it's really important that you can remove them fast from the plate carrier if you want to actually access it or toss it to your buddy. We're going to do a tour on what is in there some other time. It's content for another video, but IFAK on the plate carrier, probably not a bad idea. Then on the other side, we got this little pouch here, which can be used for comms. So that's why you see the very primitive wiring up here, and also this really nice little cozy pouch for my smartphone, and this outer pouch for tools. This is where I usually have my Leatherman. So on the back, I never have lots of stuff because I want to be able to sit down comfortably. It's always good to conserve energy, so I want to sit properly without having anything being shoved into my rear. Also, if you want to operate in vehicles, you have to be able to sit down properly. It's going to be cramped enough without even a plate carrier in the end. So that's why I don't run anything down here. I only have this really low profile admin pouch where I keep some stuff, and yeah, I can't access it on my own, but that's what your battle buddy is for. So all the non-essential stuff I have on my back. I can remove it and still use a full-size backpack if that would be the requirement. So yeah, that's a brief tour of plate carriers. Obviously the setup is going to be very individual due to the molle and all the pouches and your specific gear, but just so that you get a basic idea of what you can do with your plate carrier. So we talked about chest rigs and plate carriers, and now we're going to talk about belts, basically the last part of your load bearing equipment. This is a very minimalistic setup I got here. It's a kind of a budget setup. It allows me to just carry my secondary weapon, my pistol, on my person. Also 2 spare mags, so 3 in total should be fine. This is a Blackhawk holster, and all of my holsters are low ride, just so I can wear the belt with the plate carrier and I still have some space without actually interfering when drawing the pistol. So yeah, when you go shopping for a belt, you want to make sure it has a decent build quality, should have kind of broad, the belt itself should be kind of broad to distribute the weight and shouldn't be all too flexible. So this is a very bare bones approach to wearing a secondary firearm. So now a bit more of a sophisticated setup as a belt. This is my primary setup, the other one is kind of my old version. This one's a bit different how it works. You have this inner belt which goes around your belt loops on the pants, and the outer one is attached with Velcro. So this is real nice. You can take off all of your equipment really fast without losing your pants, because you still have the inner one, and you can put it on really fast again too. You don't have to fill it through the belt loops like you would have to do with kind of this setup here. So that's really great. This is designed as a solo setup, so I can use it without a plate carrier and chest rig, because I have 4 magazine pouches and 2 pistol pouches. So since it's a solo setup, also needs some space for IFAK. This is also removable. So just very basic setup. Got my Israeli bandage and tourniquet and some gloves and some other boo-boo stuff, all ready to come with me. Then if I need a secondary firearm, I got this nice Safariland holster, which I'll attach to the inner part of the belt. And since it's low ride, you can see there's still enough space here to draw the pistol comfortably. And as I said prior, I don't want anything on the back. Lots of guys have stuff on the back. I just can't handle it. I want to be able to sit down comfortably, and that's why there's nothing here. So this is more of a war belt setup, and it just increases your ammo carrying capacity by quite some pouches, which you'll be able to attach also more IFAK. You could add some pouches back there if that's your thing. Those pouches are really nice. You got those rubber straps holding in the tension, the mag, so you won't lose anything, but also they're accessible really fast. So one thing I want to say about the placement of the pouches, you want to make sure, especially the ones at the side, so if your upper body's here and you lean around the corner, you want to make sure that the mag doesn't dig into your side. So as always, you have to test this stuff before you actually seriously run it. So that's it for belts. The last thing I want to talk about is dump pouches. So again, as you can see, I bought this off a Russian supplier a few years back. It's a cheap options. They're pretty decent products. They cost a fraction of what you would spend on, let's say, more Western stuff. But as you can imagine, probably you don't want to support them nowadays anymore. So that's your thing to decide. But what does a dump pouch do? As you can see, I just dropped a mag in here, and that's its primary function. You have it at the rear of the belt attached to the molle or around your regular belt. So no matter if you run a chest rig or a plate carrier or you have a special belt, you should have a dump pouch. So why is it that great? You don't want to throw your empty mags on the floor. You might need them to reload afterwards. You don't have an unlimited amount of mags. But also it's really great because you can dump anything in here. So if you have a water bottle, you can dump it in here. If you find something on the floor, you dump it in here. You need a hand and you don't have a pouch ready for your smartphone, you dump it in here. So it's a very versatile tool, and I suggest you to buy something that has kind of a mechanism that you can tension. So like this, I can easily drop a mag in, but it will never fall out on its own. So you can tension this. Stuff goes in easily but doesn't come out easily. So that's a nice feature. Other than that, there's many different types, but I suggest you, if you buy one, it should have some kind of mechanism like that, because I've seen dump pouches that are open like this, So if you run around or lie down, stuff will fall out, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole dump pouch, right? So, invaluable tool, get yourself a dump pouch. So some closing words. We saw lots of different gear. We saw what you want to have on your person most of the time, but I want to lose a few words on what you should do or what I recommend you guys to do. When you buy some new stuff, you really want to actually use it too. Some people are scared to get their gear dirty. I mean, all of my stuff is dirty. I do clean it, but you should use the gear you have. That's my point. There's lots of people that invest lots of money and then they're scared to break it. But I mean, if you buy something and it breaks that easily, it's probably trash in the first place. You want to train with your gear, and by training I mean you want to not just shoot at the range standing there and like, oh yeah, I can find my magazine, but you want to lie on the floor and see, can you still do reloads? Can you access your mags? You want to roll on the floor and see, is everything still on me? You want to crawl through a bush and check that you don't get caught up by all the stuff you attach to yourself, and you want to wear it half a day, a whole day, and see, is it actually feasible to carry all this stuff on me, or do I need to hit the gym first? You want to jump around and see what rattles, what falls out. So it's all of the stuff, and you will get the feel of what works best for you, what actually works, where you want to put those pouches, or you will realize that something you bought is actually crap. And I mean, that happens, and you have to experiment, and you'll have to figure out what works best for you and what works under which conditions. And that's all there is to say. I hope this video gave you a good introduction on load-bearing equipment, what is possible. I don't want to recommend any product. I just want you guys to know what's out there, and hope you find your perfect setup, because once you got it and working and you can access everything blindly, it's a really good feeling. You can trust your equipment, and that will give you some confidence in what you're actually doing. So as always, stay safe and have fun.